All right, welcome back to the 80s Star Basketball Channel, the only Star Basketball channel to have Vintage Sanctuary. Adam came on and we talked. It was great. Had about a 50-minute conversation for what I have in here, and just a really, really cool talk. And he talks Star and things with the Beckett interview. And I'm going to keep my little intro short here. You can just watch us. We're just yapping, and he brings up some really good points. As far as like Beckett and as far as people like viewing Star. And then he's just talking his collection, what he's been picking up, and he's been, kind of collecting for, a while now on Star, and his mistakes, and things that, obviously one of his biggest collecting mistakes ever regards Star. So he talks to that. So just a really, really cool story, and he shares a lot. And we have a few back and forths that are fun, and that's all this is. So kind of hope you enjoy the talk with Adam here. Yeah, so tell me about your kind of four. I know you wanted to talk about some of the Beckett stuff and get your thoughts on that. So interested to hear on that. But first, kind of let the viewers know about, people know about your interest in star cards, and what and what you've been doing around them, if any.
Sure. So, just to keep it really brief, I know we have limited time. I'm 60 years old, and since I was a kid, when I was a kid, was collecting stamps. Then I got into coins. I got into some sports cards. Over the last few years, I've gotten into vintage baseball cards, which I had never collected anything vintage. As far as Star goes, when Beckett, BGS, started grading the Star cards, I think that was around 2008. At one point, I had a graded copy of every Jordan star card.
Oh,
And then
wow.
I had some nice ones, that's for sure. And then, worst hobby mistake of my life, Ryan, I sold them all to a star dealer because I wanted to just focus on coins. I had limited budget at that time. It really took a lot for me to gather all those Jordan cards by trading, selling, yada yada. And I thought I just want to focus on coins. So, I regret doing that, but hey, life has moved on. That's fine. And then just over the last like 2.5 years or so, I said, I really love these star cards. So I decided I was going to do the following. Seek to collect every Dr. J star card.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
not including the 5x7s, although now I've decided with the 5x7s
Uh-huh.
and all of the Kareem star cards,
Nice.
not necessarily all graded, but all of the Kareem, as well as all of the Larry Bird and all of the Magic Johnson. So I'm getting close on those four players. And then as far as Jordan goes, the 101, even though it's really taken off recently, the 101 was kind of out of range for my budget. So I said, I am going to try to get what I was calling the subset rookies of Jordan, or the subset XRCs. There's eight that are regular sized, including the 101. So I said, I'm going to go after the other seven, and I'm going to try to be under $1,000 a piece. I just about got there. My average cost was $825. So I picked those up, just looking
Still.
for ones that appealed to my eye without the chipping. I didn't care if they were somewhat off center because, most of them come that way, but without the chipping on the corners or edges, that's significant. And then I also got the 26, the 5x7 Jordan. So
The CK26. Nice. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a
And
beaut. That is a
and there's a
beaut.
few others I wish I would have gotten before the price, really took off recently because, those are going to be more now. But so I'm not really looking to complete the Jordans because the 101 is, just way out there. But I'm thankful for the ones I got, and I think they contribute to completions of sorts, like having the Crunch and Munch. That contributes to completing that set. And for me, set completion is having all the cards I want out of a set, not necessarily every card in the set, but just cards that I, am seeking.
Oh,
So
yeah, cool.
yeah,
That's
that's
a good take on that. I actually like that. Yeah.
so that's kind of a brief background.
Okay, yeah, and your channel, I noticed that you do focus on vintage baseball. So that's where your kind of thing is. But you definitely got into Star, and I see you're kind of on the comments in the channel, and you got some really good insights. So I kind of liked your commentary. I read all my comments, and your commentary was really well thought out. So whenever you would kind of say stuff, I was interested for sure. I was like, oh man, yeah, he's got some good thoughts to it. So yeah, the 101 kind of started outside of everyone's budget. I mean, it was always a high dollar card, even, kind of even a year ago or so, or even going back, it's always been a high dollar card. So it's kind of bumped a few people out of the price range, to begin with. And so it makes sense. But I like that on your thoughts for getting the set of what you want. What do I want out of like the crunch and munch? And then I complete it. If it's only three cards, it's only three cards, but you get what you want.
Yeah, and let me just say, to your listeners that if some of them are feeling discouraged, uh, you don't have to avoid the Star Jordans. For example, you could go after a 288 from the base set or a 195 or the Court Kings number 26, the 5x7. I know those are getting up there too, but you could go after the Gatorade. You could get the Gatorade set. So you could have a completion. You don't have to have all the Jordans to have a completion. You could work on that Gatorade set if that's what you really like. All the Jordan Star cards are expensive now, but if you move away from the 101 and if you're patient, and if you save or sell or trade, you can get some of those. And of course, if you have more of a budget, well, then you can just go get them. So,
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I know you had a bunch of thoughts as far as the Beckett interview. I'll let you shoot. You go ahead and start. You tell me what you thought and
yeah,
go
thank
for it.
you. Thank you, Ryan. I mean, there's so much. I went back as you had requested that I would. I actually listened to all the interviews two or even three times and took copious notes.
Oh, wow.
And I am a big fan of what you're doing here. I just think it's
Oh,
fantastic.
thanks.
I think it's so helpful for the hobby. Having this dialogue in a productive and non-divisive way, I think is critical. Let people have information. Let them, understand what is true, and then they can, make up their mind how they want to spend their hobby dollars, how they want to think of the 101, how they want to think of the 86 Fleer. But let's have them have accurate information.
Yep, that's
Uh,
exactly it. I came and then we'll get there later, but I came to a really good spot, and that's kind of where I came to, and it's kind of like, now that's just a helpful piece. So it was a good.
So I will say, I've read different articles from different sites over the years, much of it coming from Steve Taft, who is an incredible source. And so I felt like I had a fair amount of knowledge going in, but those, I'm going to call them four interviews. You had Beckett's part one, part two, and part three, and then you brought Victor in. I think Victor's great too. Those four, conversations, or it was packaged into four, to me just took my understanding. I'm no expert by any means, but really took my understanding to the next level in terms of really having a much better understanding of the situation of that time and how we got to where we're at today. So, fantastic. Kudos to you and everyone involved. To me, what happened was the demand for a Michael Jordan rookie card became insatiable, and you could argue it still is. And because of that, the 1986 Fleer number 57, it took on a life of its own that even transcends rookie cards and classification. And I'm all for classification. I'm a big fan of what you're doing and the expertise that you're bringing to it. But that's, where we were and where we are, if you will. But now a new generation of collectors and some of the old guard are saying, wait a minute here, the Star 101, and Beckett admits, and I don't want to put words in his mouth. That's why I took such careful notes. So I would, try very hard not to put words in his mouth. But he admits that when he classified the 101 in XRC, that it wasn't a perfect classification, but he thought it was the best fit. And this was not just him, the information he was getting from dealers, the collecting community. He says he started out, of course, with an asterisk on the RC of the 86 Fleer to point people that there is an earlier card. Um, you know, uh, I will say this, got mad respect for Beckett, but if I were to, respectfully argue with him a little bit, one of the things he said is you look at the cards that have claims to being an RC. Now, he does say the 101 is a rookie card, but it's not the RC. It's the XRC in his mind. But you look at the cards that have claim to receiving an RC designation using the standards of the day, and you see which one has the greatest number of those criteria, and that's the one that gets the RC. Now, here's where I will counter argue against that a little bit.
Hmm.
Is it the one that has the most criteria, or is it the one that has the best criteria? It's only the one that has the most
Good point.
criteria if we equal. I'm a mathematician by trade, so I don't classify data, but I bring sort of I guess, a mathematical mind to
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. No, it's logic. Yep. A weighting. A weighting. You're kind of looking at a weighting.
A weighting, like to me personally,
Hmm.
uh, mass produced and nationally distributed, I would not weight as high as being an earlier card. Quality of the card stock or even quality of the company, and those matter a lot to some people for sure. I would not weight as much as being fully MBA licensed. Um,
I would
and
agree. Yeah, completely agree.
so also, I would argue with this a little bit. The idea that those cards were low quality. So what I did, I don't have a lot of single cards from that era, but
And to interrupt really quick, that was kind of Dave's and mine, our big point. The weighting, it's when it was distributed, is more important than the how it was distributed. And the fact that it was done much earlier, for Jordan's rookie year, that's the thing that has more of a weighting. That to us doesn't have an equal. You're saying they're not all equal. If there's 4 points, each one isn't a weighting of one. The fact that it was produced 2 years earlier during his rookie season, that has a much higher weighting.
yeah, yeah. Let's say that I'm deciding among, two women to propose to, which is kind of a crazy analogy. But if I'm madly in love with one of them, but then I start looking at the other and saying, well, the other has more criteria. She wears clothes that match her color palette better. It's like, wait a minute,
Right,
wait a minute.
right. Yep.
Madly in
Yep.
love trumps a lot of smaller criteria.
Yep. Yep. No, that's it, it's true. And that is a totally good fair point, and one that I kind of mentioned. It really is such a big piece, that the when as opposed to the how. And some people like, that isn't a big deal to me, but when it was distributed, as far as it being the rookie year, right? The criteria, they aren't equal points. You don't just add up six things and go for it.
And so what I did last night, so I have a Moses Malone is not one of the collectors that I collect, but I happen to have some of his ungraded Crunch and Munch cards. I've got like a hand, I think maybe six of them that I got really reasonably, and one of them had some factory edge chipping. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna use this one kind of as my test piece, and I'm gonna use it as a bookmark for books that I'm reading. So I took that card and I compared it to other ungraded cards of the era. And I even got out a magnifying glass to look at the thickness and to look at the quality. And in my humble opinion, I don't really see a lot of difference between the quality of the card stock and the printing on a star card versus other cards of that era, from Topps or baseball cards, etc.,
Hmm.
whether it's from Topps or Donruss or you name it. Granted, they would pale in comparison to today's really premium card, but I'm not seeing a huge difference there. And I would also say this, one of the things Beckett talked about was the image quality. Sure, some of the images on star cards are, not that great, but wow, there are so many fantastic images. And their use of color was just groundbreaking, especially when they put the color match on, for the team on the front of the card and on the back of the card as well in many cases. So, um, personally, I know this is, subject to a person's opinion. But to me, I'm looking at these cards and saying, I'm not, I see that they have some advantages over other cards of that era. And I'm not really seeing how they're that deficient in terms of quality myself. So,
Yeah, the only thing, it's a little bit thinner to me, but as far as I'm concerned, we're not building houses with these things, so it's like they're in holders mostly anyway. It doesn't matter to me if they're a little thinner. As far as the day, as the for their time period, I think they're way better than anything that was produced prior. You look at Topps 80 or 81 set, I just think they're just a mass improvement. I love the color border. So I thought they were fantastic. The next step up, as far as I'm concerned, the next step up from Star, I actually think Star was better than 86, 87, or 88. 89 Fleer, they started to get, I personally liked kind of 89 Fleer, but 89 Hoops, that was the first time that we saw real color clarity, the photos, 89 Hoops. I get they were, printed in mass and mass and mass, but that was the first time that you saw some, real colors kind of coming through and looking at the card ink and just a noticeable different. But I thought Star was actually a noticeable difference from Tops in prior years.
And I think, and I know this was mentioned, and I do believe also that the totality of the interviews that you did with others did bring out the idea that not everyone is equally rating these criteria of the day to call something an RC. Um, but anyway, if we're going to pick on the image quality of Star, we have to be careful because not just 86 Fleer, but 87, 88, they used a lot of those Star images even on the Julius Erving 86, 87 Fleer. So, if we're going to say, look, image quality somehow uh, means in some way, somehow contributes to Star not being able to have this RC designation. Okay, well then does it contribute to 86 Fleer not being allowed to have, RC designation for its cards because they use many of the same images?
Yeah, I've never made that whole argument just doesn't make any logical sense. I think it's with people, especially that are just trying to make the case against Star. They're just like saying, I don't like these, and I'm going to find any reason to kind of go against them. I mean, Beckett himself said he hated Star. That kind of shocked me when he said that. He does not like it at all. And kind of a glaring admission, and obviously, he's the decider, but he disliked the company, and that bled into other things that he didn't like about it, like image quality and everything. I look at Star and I'm like, yeah, these are a lot better looking. That has no bearing on how I classify something, but it's really just it was a little surprising to say the least that he kind of went down, the path of which I've heard many people argue when they're going against Star for saying that the image choice of images or the ink or card thickness kind of thing. So I've
You,
heard
you
that.
know, one of the things that he had mentioned was he said if star aficionados would spend as much time extolling the virtues of an XRC as they do arguing that the 101 is the RC, we'd be in a different place. And he makes an argument, I believe, and again, I want to be careful not to put words in his mouth. He makes an argument that many collectors prefer an XRC over an RC because it tends to be earlier, it tends to be more limited, it tends to be more valuable, that many collectors desire it. And you had indicated that if, we're talking about RC as a type, XRC as a subtype, I think that Beckett seems to argue that the XRC, well, he does argue the XRC designation has not hurt the Star 101. In fact, in some way, it's exalted it. So I think that's fascinating. You could make an argument just from the standpoint of somebody who wants to see the 101 get its proper due, which I believe it is, but you could make the argument that the XRC designation exalts the 101 because it says, yes, it's in the type of rookie card. So it is a rookie card. And Beckett admitted that. He just said it's not the RC. It's a type of rookie card, but it's a special type, the type that many collectors will go after because it's more limited, it's earlier, and hence, the market is demanding. It has more demand and hence more value. I have a question for you, Ryan. Not that I expect you to answer it off the top of your head. And, I think we're all wrestling with these things. I think it's a challenge. I think it's a challenge for sure. I appreciate what Beckett did. He knows more about the hobby than I ever will. So I got mad respect for him. I appreciate Victor's efforts and how he said both cards should be RC asterisk. I think that's a reasonable place to land where we're at today as well. But my question for you is, what do we do with the other 10 cards? There are 11 cards that have lay claim to being first year officially licensed Michael Jordan cards. There's the 101 plus there's seven other regular sized cards. That would include the 288, the 195, the Gatorade Slam Dunk, the Gatorade All Stars, the Light Miller Light All Stars, the last 11 Rookie of the Years, the All Rookie Team, and I think I might have hit them all. I might have missed one. And then there's also the three oversized, the Team Supers, the Slam Dunk Supers, and the 5x7 Court Kings. Those three 5x7s. Out of those 11, the 101 is the base. It's got more demand. How would you classify those other 10 in your mind? What should we call those? Do those fit as RC types?
Um, I uh, no. Because there's an RC, there's no need to have them as types. They're simply subset cards. They're simply cards that because the 86 Fleer is a third year. That's what I think what you're kind of alluding to is how some people say, hey, since 86 Fleer is the rookie, anything prior to that is a pre-rookie, and typing it that way. You're not saying that. I get you're not saying that, but it's kind of similar in a sense that since this is a rookie, since the others are around it. And that's why when I talk about modeling, the 101 is just the most unique card. I consider it, kind of in the planet, because to me it's the goat of goat, and it's only one type. There's only one type of that card if you kind of narrow everything down. And when I say modeling, when you start to look at, like, once you actually type things and you get subset cards, you can group them together. Like if you have how many types are there, how many Jordan cards are in the year 1986, and you can go, oh well, there's a base set, the 117. There's a one, there's the Court Kings, or there's the best of the new, things like that. And so you can get a whole bunch of like 86, if you don't get the 117, all those can kind of fit into like a year. But then they're just categorized like subset cards. What's a base set card for that year would be 117 of 86. And then you have subset cards. So to me, they're just subset cards, or the 288 and 195 are just base set non-rookie cards. That's really all they are to me. But they're not. They don't have anything to do with their rookie year cards. The 288, 195, anything from that year, rookie year cards. But for typing, that's why the 101 stands alone. So,
Yeah, and I would say, and again, this is just my current opinion, and it's subject to change as I learn more and listen to you and others. First of all, I fully agree with you. I think the 101, whether we call it XRC or we call it RC, to me, it's not the card that I like the look of the most, although I still think it looks cool. But to me, it is in a league of its own for the reasons that you have expounded upon. However, in my opinion, using the rookie card as a classification in a more broad way, in my opinion, if we call the 101 the XRC, then these other 10 star Jordan cards that say 1985 star, they are like subset XRCs, like, the Gatorade XRC. If we call the 101 the RC, then these are like subset rookie cards. They're not the RC. They're
mhm.
not, the first from the base set, but they still get put into the classification of a rookie card. They still get a special status, but understanding it's a tier below. Sort of like, oh, I'm trying to remember his name. You had him on recently, Brian, Cajun Cardboard.
Uh-huh.
He's got his tier one, his tier two, his tier three.
Okay.
So,
Mhm.
so how would we tier if we're only talking about Jordan rookie cards? Now, to me, and I know some will disagree with me on this, the 101, which I may never get again, That would be my tier one. That's it, just that 101.
Uh-huh.
My tier two would probably be the 288, the 195, and the Court Kings 26. My tier three would be
I would add to
the
one my and just to
yeah.
interject and throw in, I would add the 117 into that tier two.
Okay. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
I'd have to think about that 117. And and then my tier three would be the other seven, what I'm calling subset rookie cards,
Hmm. Okay.
the Gatorade and so forth. And now where would I put the Fleer, the 86 Fleer? I mean, it would, based on where we're at right now, you know, I don't know, maybe I'd put it in that tier three. But to me, I can never marry it as the RC.
Uh-huh. Right. Yeah. I can't either.
Now, and I will also say this. I said to myself a long time ago, I wouldn't mind having an 86 Fleer. And I've had one, I've had a couple of them in the past, which I shouldn't have sold, but you know how that goes. No
Oh
big
yeah.
deal. I mean, hey, I've had things that have done really well too. So that's part of the collecting life.
Yep.
But I said to myself, I wouldn't mind having an 86 Fleer again, but I'm not getting an 86 Fleer, just me personally, until I have every star Jordan that I want, because
Yep.
those all have more meaning to me. Once I have all of them that I want or I can obtain, then maybe I'll go after an 86 Fleer, just me personally.
Yeah, no, actually, I think I kind of have that same mindset. It's just a matter of what I get first and how I get first. So, no, I totally can see that. Yeah, maybe now that you say that, if there are four tiers, maybe I would put the 86 clear in like the tier four kind of thing. To me, like I said, I've hit a different spot with it. It's like Victor was asking me about the nostalgia. And actually, at first, I edited it out when he first asked me. The question threw me off. He's all, well, what do you think of nostalgia? If you take away the rookie, he asked me, if you take away the rookie card status, what do you do with nostalgia? And I didn't understand the question first, and I ended up cutting this out for the final one. I was like, I don't understand what do you mean nostalgia? And it's like, and then eventually where he got to, I was like, oh, it doesn't affect it at all. I still love the card. I still, I don't need to see it as a rookie card. I did when I was young. I don't look at the things the same eyes as I did when I was young with a lot of things. I've matured. When I get new information, I can change. It doesn't hurt it to me, and that's not a problem. Some people it is, and I get that. And that's when I say the place where I came to is you can call actually you can call a rookie card whatever you want to call it as long as you're comfortable collecting it. And I might disagree, but if you say, hey, rookie cards need to have white borders and I won't be comfortable collecting unless they have white borders, then I say go for it. It's I will disagree with the classification and whatnot, but if that's what you need to be comfortable to collect and enjoy the hobby, go for it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. And I would say, one of the things I seek to do in this wonderful hobby of ours. I think it's just a wonderful community. People often talk about all the bad things that are going on, CT scanning and so forth. And yeah, there are bad things going on, but it's a wonderful hobby. You see people generously giving each other gifts and helping each other out. I mean, it's just fantastic. If somebody came to me today and they had just gotten themselves an 86 Fleer number 57 Jordan. And they said, this is the true rookie. They even called out, not the 101. This is it. I have it. I'm so stoked about it. I would share in their joy.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
wouldn't
Yeah.
have I wouldn't have to say I see it differently. I would just share in their joy. It's okay to see things differently because after all, there are no rookie card police. Uh,
Exactly. Yeah, we talk about that in the Beckett thing. The enforcement, that's actually for the classifications. What's funny about that is the classifications. My cat just got up. That's great. For the classifications, we talk about that Beckett's enforcement. It's just a different era for enforcement. He talks about it a lot, and the self-enforcement. So I watched his other videos with like Victor and stuff. So where he talks about, you can just look at the card, and we talked about the 86 Fleer having 2 years of stats on the back, and that's self-enforcement. But the enforcement, the actual police of a rookie card was Beckett back in the day. And that was the only time we ever had it kind of. he put it in the book, and everyone could look at that. It was like a single spot where everyone could go to. He was the closest thing to rookie card police. I like how
Yeah.
you said that. That was probably the closest that we all ever had. And no one really cared back then because we didn't have all the parallels. It wasn't as confusing. There were XRCs that he, designated, but it was a simpler time back in the day. And now it's a whole ton of everything. But it's definitely enforcement is such a huge factor as far as what people look at.
Well, here's the deal, Ryan. Mickey Mantle does not have a rookie card. Willie Mays does not have a rookie card if we employ the rookie card standards of that day, because there were no such things as rookie cards. Nobody, that wasn't even a part of the
That's
card
an
collecting
interesting point.
vernacular. So are we going to say Mickey Mantle does not get to have a rookie card, nor does Willie Mays, because there were no standards of that day for rookie cards. Nobody even talked about rookie cards. They weren't conceived of.
That is
Now,
a fantastic point. I have not heard that, but that's really good. Actually, I want to use that. That's
so therefore, we have to apply later standards in order to classify a Mickey Mantle or Willie Mays card as his rookie card. So that means that the hobby has a history of taking later standards and applying them to earlier eras in order to classify cards.
Adam, that is actually, I want everyone out of the video. That is a fantastic counterpoint to that, to the hobby history argument. I got to tell that one. Dave will see this. Dave will watch, but yeah, that's going to be. I think I titled this video to that. So that's accurate. It's you can't. And the funny thing is you can't do everything evolves, classifications change. Really, when I'm talking about things like, my main point is, and it sounds geeky, and I brought it up in the other, I forgot which, it was Sports Card Madness that I said that it's entropy on relationships. And that will, it just simply means over time that these things that matter to people won't, and they'll vanish. And then what are you left with? You're left with a product. People are trying to define and classify a product by distribution or by judging a company's size or something that no one will remember. These things that are stored. And as Beckett said, in his earlier interviews, he saw that was a weakness. He said you have to be in the know, and that eventually fades. When he's gone. And that's a fantastic point. I'm glad you said that.
Well, thank you, my friend. And I'm a big fan of everything you are doing and have done. I am looking forward to you branching out a little more. And maybe there's been some episodes I've missed, but emphasizing some of the other players as well and their star cards. And I know you've indicated that's coming. So, and I would also encourage you, if this resonates with you, Ryan, if it doesn't, of course, fair enough. But like Cajun Cardboard has done his tiers for Michael Jordan cards, that you would do a tier for Michael Jordan rookie cards, using the broad classification of rookie cards and then having these tiers. I think it would be so cool. And in my humble opinion, you're the channel, you're the man to do that.
Maybe, actually, I know Cajun did kind of hint that I should do something with Star. I thought about it. It would be kind of the things that I collect. I will put more thought into that. Some of the cards, the Star cards that I would deem as, I don't want to say modeling well, typing well, classifying well, and it wouldn't even, maybe not even just Jordan. I will think about that for sure, because that I think would be kind of cool to have. I like, the rarer stuff.
I think it could be helpful for the hobby as well. And of course, you could always, I sense, I don't know you well, but from listening to your videos, I sense you're the type of person that, you're not wanting to put something out there if you don't feel like it's really solid. But it could be something that morphs a little bit over time too. But I think it would help, not as necessarily the final, end all, this is the tier, everyone, not that the whole hobby's going to agree on it by any means, but it would give us food for thought in a visible, tangible way that would cause people, I think, to wrestle even more with these issues of classification that you've, really been, someone who has brought that to the forefront.
Mhm. Gotcha. Yeah, no, I definitely could. I've got to think about what I would like because I like what you said on there's so much to star. There's so many other players. Recently, I just got Jordan. I mean, my DMs, everyone who contacts me, it's all like Jordan and values. I mean, it's so much, so heavily focused. And then I've got like some people that watch and they say, what about something else? And I like the Moncriefs, the Laniers, those things, the best of the old. I love, the rare sets. I love the base sets, and just there's things I'm finding out that are just interesting all over. Their Star has so many stories, like little side stories, almost like per uncut sheet, it seems, or sheet that was produced. It's like there's something weird about or some story, and that's just fun. It's just really cool that you have all these angles to hit star with and to collect on. And I do want to do videos more. I do want to branch out. Believe me, I was doing that earlier on, and then everything took off, and then it was just prices, 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 and I focused there, and I don't want to totally. So
Well, well, yeah, I'm stoked because I know you'll get there and I'll be along for the journey. But I will say, and I probably shouldn't say this because I guess I kind of said it earlier, but I'm creating more competition for myself for these cards. But I will say that if any of your viewers are thinking, man, the 101, that ship has sailed, it's far beyond my reach. Hey, there's lots of things to complete. I kind of like completions. I mean, I don't mind having standalone cards too, but I like them to fit in somehow into something that I complete in some way. So you could get all of the Miller Lite. You could get the whole set of Miller Lite. You'd have a Jordan in there. You'd have some other wonderful players. That one tends to be less expensive than the Crunch and Munch for sure. It's a little bit more available. So you could go for that. Beautiful, beautiful cards. That blue on the back is just beautiful. So you've got a lot of options. You could go after all the Larry Bird cards. The stopper there would be his 83 star base card because that's starting to climb, but it's nowhere near the 101. You could go after all the Dr. J cards. So there's a lot of ways to complete stuff in Star, or even to get some sort of a completion that includes Jordan. Like if you wanted to get the all rookie team, you'd have an Elijah, you'd have a Stockton. I think Barkley's in there. Maybe you've got Jordan. That's a sweet completion. And you would have a Jordan rookie card type, however you want to, define it, a first year Jordan. So,
yeah, rookie year Jordans. Yep. Yep.
there's
And
a,
there's another angle to that, not just Hall of Fame, but those rookie cards. There's another thing to complete and that was what maybe I would kind of put in the tier of star cards is the Elijah rookie, the Barkley rookie, the Stockton rookie,
yeah, yeah.
the Neek and the Drexler and the Isaiah Thomas. I mean, you got some big guns as far as rookie cards. Then you have a lot of, not substar. I was going to say substar. Semi-stars like Mark Aguirre's, Tom Chambers. You had a Terry Cummings. Just good solid players, and their rookie cards are in there, and they're fairly cheap. They're really really cheap comparatively to anything to the 101, but really early cards of all these great players.
Or what about this? You go after completing some of the 5x7 sets or some of the 5x7 players. May I show quickly
Yeah, go
my
ahead.
latest? These are my latest star pickups, all picked up within the last maybe 6 weeks or so.
Sure.
And I've been scarfing these up, and I must confess, Ryan, a little bit of FOMO in the sense that, these things could end up costing me twice as much in the near future because Jordan is going up, but that rising tide is it's
Lifts all
raising
boats.
all of the boats.
Yep. Yep.
All right, so the
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
this is an excellent five, and I'm not really sure why because it is fantastic. Uh,
That's a
and
great picture.
It's the Court Kings Larry Bird, and it is sharp as a tack, which to me is just insane.
That is
And
cool.
and then this is a six uh Court
Yep,
Kings
love it.
Magic Johnson. And again, I tell you what, I love these. I like the Beckett too, but these PSA oversized are really nice, nice slabs. And then I picked this up in a seven. Uh, that's
Love it.
so this completes the Larry Bird. He only has his 5x7s. He only has two 5x7s, the Team Supers and the Court King. So I have both Larry
Oh,
birds.
very nice.
And then the this is a seven as well, and that's the Team
Yep, very
Super
cool.
Kareem. I don't have his Court Kings, but I hope to pick it up in the next couple of months. There's a couple on eBay right now. Don't buy them, people. I want one of them. This was only $60 and it's a gorgeous six, the Slam Dunk Dr.
Oh,
J.
wow.
And I would encourage people. I mean, here's the deal. I would love to have the Jordan this. Maybe someday I'm happy to have his Court Kings in a BGS 5.5. But I mean, come on, like $60 for the Dr. J.
Right, right. I know it's like those are, yeah, I know. The price differential for some of these things is so huge.
And I love, I love how picky PSA is as a buyer. Now, if I were a submitter, I'd be less happy. It's like, man, my card looks virtually perfect, and you gave it a five or a six. But as a
Right.
buyer, it's like every single one of these, it's like, man, they're calling a lot of these sixes and sevens that are just in, or even that are insanely nice. This is a six,
Dr.
and
J.
it's the boy, that dude had some muscle on him.
Yeah, he was pretty big.
And let me show one other card that I'm super stoked about. I have both the Kareem and the Dr. J. This is a card I was looking for a long time. And when one came up, I had a safe search. It was a buy it now for $219, and I could not hit buy it now fast enough. And that's the best of the old.
Oh, I
And
need that. That's awesome.
it's in
Right
a nine,
on.
and the subgrades 9-5 centering, nine corners, nine edges, 9-5 surface. I mean, it looks perfect to me.
Throw
So
it back up again. Throw it back
yeah,
up. Let's see that puppy.
let me get this.
Yeah,
Let
get
me
it
get
out of
this.
the plastic. So, what did you pick that up for?
$219.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think that was it November? Let me take a quick look at my records
I'm
here.
guessing that's anywhere from about six to 700 now, easy.
That would not surprise me. I'm going to take a quick look at my records here. Let's see. Basketball, 1986. Best of the Old, Dr. J. November of 2021. November of 2021, I picked that up. Yeah. And I have the cream as well in a gorgeous
Oh,
8.5.
oh. I'm trying to
But
get
I
so I
was
did finally get a bag, but I'm yeah, I cannot. Those singles are so hard to get, especially in a high grade like that. They just don't
so
come up.
one of the things that helped me is having, read a lot about Star, and then, like I say, I had collected some Star. What's new is back in the day when I was collecting them, I was going after Jordans. But then when I got back into Star, I said, okay, I had gotten rid of my Jordans, going after those coins. I said, all right, I may never get all the Jordans back. That's okay. But I'm going after every single Kareem, every single Dr. J, every single Larry Bird, every single Magic Johnson. And so I knew how tough these best of the olds are. And the two I was targeting were the Dr. J and the Kareem. Here we go.
Right on top.
It's got, let's see, the Kareem. It's got some great subs too. Nine on centering, 9-5 corners, 9-5 edges, eight on surface. The Kareem
Ah,
best deal.
yes.
I got that
Yes.
for $95 back in
Oh,
not that long, not terribly long ago. That was let's see here.
wow.
That was July of 2020 for $95. And I vaguely remember this transaction because it was a buy it now or best offer.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember what I think the dealer wanted $100 or the seller. And I think I made him an offer 75 or something. Anyway, he was offended by my offer. And I threw out a mea culpa and basically said maybe his buy price was 95. I don't remember exactly, but I just threw out a mea culpa because I really wanted the card and said, hey, I didn't mean to offend you. If you'd extend that last offer, I'd be happy to take it. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, sometimes you have that. You put something out, and I think I've just get no response. But then I'll send something a little higher if I get in that position. But now, yeah, those are easy 600. I know your Dr. J might even be about 800, 900 kind of thing for a nine. I mean, those have really gone up. The rare ones like that have, and that's just makes them fun because everyone you get that small of amount made 400 bags, and to find them, no one wants to give them up.
Yeah, and I'm super stoked to have them. And if the value goes up, hey, I'm stoked about that too. But although it's a mixed bag, right? Because if I'm collecting other cards and I haven't bought them yet, well, then you have to pay more. But
Right.
I'm super stoked to have it because I need this for my Dr. J star completion. And I'm super stoked you have a bag. I mean, that's really cool. So you have the cards, you may not be able to look at all of them if you're leaving in the bag, but you still have them, which is not an easy thing to acquire by any means.
Right. Yeah, I had to do some legwork, but I've made the cool thing is about the channel and everything. I've kind of made all these connections. So now I talk to people and pick things up and trade. And now I have access to things I didn't. So that helps. And I too have been priced out. I was going to go for another 101 and that just I had to pivot off of that. And now kind of looking at bags I've really got into because they're pure star. They're just so uniquely star that, and I love factory sealed kind of stuff. That's what I like. I like things on top of packs. Like one of my favorites is a David Robinson 89 hoops on top of a pack. I had that when I was a kid and I didn't need anything else in life. What else would I need in life other than a Robinson on top of a hoops pack? I was so happy and I was so stoked. I grew up very poor and I felt like the richest kid in the world when I had that Robinson on top. And that was the thing, those feelings that you get from the card sometimes. And it's just irreplaceable.
Yeah, I don't see this happening and nobody knows how the future is going to play out. But imagine this, due to the CT scanning of sealed boxes or sealed cases, imagine a future where the way cards are distributed are in bags where you know exactly what you're getting in order that the CT scanning does not give an advantage. And it takes us right back to Star.
Yeah, I mean, this distribution can change. You never know what it'll be in the future. Because really, I mean, I get the business model aspect. People want the excitement. People want the gamble. I loved PAX when I was a kid, and now I don't. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't get PAX. My son loves them, but it isn't how I collect. I go out and I get what I want, and that something shouldn't be penalized because it's just a product. To classify it just doesn't make sense. But we've already gone to that.
Well, another thing that's fascinating through the conversations that you had at the time, cards were 2 cents a piece. If you bought a pack for a dime and you got 5 cards or however that played out. Whereas the star cards were more like 10 cents or 12.5 cents a piece, depending on how much you paid for the bag, doing the math. And it's like these are not premium cards, so they shouldn't cost premium price. And like it was price gouging, and that was one of the things that, hurt Star. Fair enough, fair enough. But here's the deal. By today's standards, man, who wouldn't want to pay 10 or 20? I mean, by today's standards, my goodness, you buy a box. I don't, but some people do, for a grand or high-end product or 2 grand or 5 grand.
I
You know,
can't
you're
believe
paying
it.
you're paying a bit more than 10 or 12.5 cents per card, that's for sure.
Right. I can't even believe some of the prices when I go in and I look at it and I'm like, oh, can't, yeah, it's just amazing. So anything that you want to say final to the viewers or any point that you wanted to say or anything to go for it.
Yeah, I would say, well, first of all, thank you for having me. Hope
Thanks
to
for coming
discuss
on.
more in the future, whether it's YouTube or otherwise. I would say collect what you love. I would say form your own opinion about these things, but follow the lead of Ryan and Dr. Beckett and others. Do so in a respectful and civil manner. But sometimes I get a little riled up when somebody makes a comment that might just be what do they call it? Fishing or whatever, or they're trying to get you riled up, right? And sometimes I let that get under my skin a little bit, but I shouldn't. Let's just have civil disagreement. If we're going to see it differently, that's fine. But yeah, collect what you love, but do the research. And yeah, and I also would say, and I know others have said this, you've said this, Dr. Beckett has said this, Star Company, it's fascinating. It's really fascinating. The good, the bad, the warts and all. It wasn't all good, but that to me is what makes it, that's part of what makes it pretty cool. It's got some cool stories. And here's the other thing. The amount of distribution when you're talking 3,000 or 5,000 sets, and I tend to think some of those have not been saved. I tend to think some of those, went by the wayside, whether they got thrown out or recycled or whatever. But and plus you have that, off center and other issues, so they don't tend to grade high. But to me, that's the perfect number. I mean, sure, I wish the 101 were less money so I could nab one, but that's the perfect number. If there's only 10 of something, people can't really go after it. If there's, hundreds of thousands, it's just too available. If there's 3 to 5,000 of something, that's a sweet spot right there.
It kind of is
And
a sweet spot. Yep. Most definitely. So thanks so much for coming on, Adam. Appreciate it. I wouldn't be surprised if we do this again sometime. We'll see what the next year brings as far as all the pricing fun and whatnot. And maybe we'll check our
yeah.
collections that at that point. So I appreciate it. You had some really good insight too, and I'm going to make sure that I note that in my I want to say I usually do like a pre-intro to an interview. So I'm going to note that. So thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. This has been cool.
Thank you, my friend. I
Uh,
appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you later, man.